Scripture Study, Isaiah chapter 19, verses 1 through 10, narrated by Brother Jerry Morley. The burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted and dried up. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. The reeds and flags shall wither. The paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouths of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. The fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish. Moreover, they that work in fine flax, and they that weave networks, shall be confounded, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fish. What is the purpose of this chapter? This chapter is a prophecy of the judgment against Egypt. Similar to other such chapters, this is meant to demonstrate to Israel that God is more powerful than any nation, and that they should rely upon the Lord rather than putting their trust in alliances with other nations. Why is the image of the Lord riding on a swift cloud used? The idol god Baal was often pictured riding on a swift cloud. In fact, he was known as the rider of clouds, and was thought to be the god of thunderstorms. Since idol worship was a big problem in Egypt, Isaiah uses the image of the true God riding on a cloud into Egypt, showing that he is the true God over all the idols of Egypt. What's happening in verse 2? Verse 2 is describing a division, perhaps a civil war, in Egypt such that they are fighting against themselves. This would be similar to what occurred in American history in the 1860s. What is happening in verse 3? Although the primary reason for the judgment against Egypt is their worship of idols, it is prophesied that they will turn those very idols and also sorcerers for advice on how to solve their problems. What is prophesied in verse 4? Egypt will experience a time when they will be ruled by a cruel king. Based on history, it is unclear whether this was to be a king of another nation, such as Assyria, or whether an actual king of Egypt is being described here. What is being prophesied in verses 5 and 6? Part of the judgment against Egypt will be that the Nile River will dry up due to a drought. Historically, when the Nile flooded and then the waters receded, the result would be fertile farmland. When this cycle was interrupted, it would cause a famine in the land. This is most likely what occurred at the time of Joseph when there were 7 years of famine in the land, as foretold in Joseph's dreams. What industries in Egypt will be affected when the Nile dries up? Farming, verse 7, fishing, verse 8, and the linen industry, verse 9. The linen industry is affected because some of the material cannot be grown and other materials cannot be obtained. This series of articles on the book of Isaiah is an outgrowth of a series of lessons presented at a branch level and is being offered as a study tool for all readers. The interpretations offered are not intended to represent an official position of the Church of Jesus Christ. However, they have been reviewed by members of the ministry and can be considered a reliable supplement to any reader's study of the book of Isaiah.